Hola, humanos. So I was born and raised in Spain, and then 10 years ago I moved to the United States. Foreign land, I thought, because I had always assumed that Columbus sailed the ocean blue to the Caribbean islands, and from there the explorers bore south, leaving the north to the pilgrims. All yours, take it. But when I started traveling across the USA as a journalist, I was very surprised to find many unexpected hints of my own culture, here, there, and not necessarily always close to the Mexican border. Intrigued, I decided to do some research. And quite frankly, I'm still in shock with the results. Spanish explorers have been everywhere. 1570, 50 years before the Pilgrims landed in Plymouth, Massachusetts, the Spanish colonies of Florida were celebrating Thanksgiving with the Native Americans roasting Iberian pigs in today's Tallahassee. The state of Oregon got its name from the oregano that Spanish adventurers found in its fields on their way to having the first Europeans to set foot in Alaska. 1613, the first immigrant of the city of New York, the first non-native resident of Manhattan, way before the Dutch, way earlier than the British, was a brave individual from the Dominican Republic, Juan Rodriguez. If you go to Washington Heights in Manhattan, you'll find that Broadway gets its name on 167th and on. The signs are up. People normally walk looking down, so you missed it. There's more. It turns out that at the time when members of the American colonial society decided to reject the authority of the British Parliament to tax them because of the lack of representation, 1765, two-thirds of the actual territory of the United States was called New Spain, Nueva España. And the guys from the 13 colonies would have never, ever won the War of Independence without the help and the support of their Hispanic peers. So when 3 years ago I started hearing voices in the US like Latinos just came here yesterday, Latinos don't belong here, they're animals, they're criminals, they come here to take our jobs, I said, you know what, people, we need to learn our history. So I went to Miami to an educational book publisher. I said, I want to publish this book. And she said, Bernardo de what? I said, Bernardo de Gálvez. I said, we need to get the narrative of this story and bring it to the American schools. I said, what? I said, wait a minute, Becker. Please, before you make up your mind, let me tell you a story. The same story I want to tell you today. And let's start from the very beginning. Right after the Declaration of Independence, 1776 in Philadelphia, the British sent 50,000 troops to the colonies. So Washington, George Washington, this guy, let's see, over here, with a question mark, have a little problem. He didn't have an army. He didn't have money to pay for his soldiers, no uniforms, no boots, no medicines, no weapons, no ammunition, no food to feed their troops, nothing. So what did he do? He cried for help. He said, help! Why did he say help? Because he spoke English. Unfortunately, hardly anyone could come to the rescue because the British Navy was blocking all the ports in the Atlantic, Canada in the north, and Florida in the south, which had recently been taken by the English in the French-Indian War, and the natural way to the west was cut by the Appalachian Mountains. There was no way to cross them. First, Native Americans were tired of the Europeans pushing them westward, and they were ready to put up a fight. Second, a guy called Thomas Jefferson had found some dinosaur bones. He didn't know they were fossils, and he spread the news that the Ohio Valley was a Jurassic Park. So no way to visit up there. Forget it. So who heard George Washington saying, "Help!" This guy over here, with exclamation point. Bernardo de Gálvez, the governor of Spanish Louisiana. Bernardo de Gálvez put together, collected money, millions of dollars, and supplies from New Spain, from Mexico, from Central America, from Latin America, from Spain, and up the Mississippi River, up the Ohio River, boom, 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 sent a lot of goodies to Washington. American soldiers received uniforms, boots, weapons, blankets, you name it. And one of the most important supplies, probably, one of the most important staples, was a medicine from Peru. The worst enemy of the American army weren't the English, they were the mosquitoes. Most soldiers fighting the Revolutionary War died of malaria rather than an English bullet. So Gálvez sent tons of this medicine from Peru, barks from the tree, from the quino tree, to be boiled with water and become quinine, a medicine that cured malaria and saved a lot of lives. So when America needed, when the patriots need help, Hispanics prevail. And that's the reason why Washington finally was able to win his first battle, Saratoga, 1777. But Gálvez was a soldier, and he wanted to fight himself too. So he put together an army of volunteers. Please welcome the first multi-ethnic army of America. This is not World War II, this is 1779. Native Americans, Europeans, Latinos, and African Americans fighting together, hand in hand, under one commander, Bernardo de Gálvez, and two flags, the flag of Spain and the flag of the United States rebels. These people, they liberated the east shore of the Mississippi River, and they expelled the British from Florida. Yes, not only Latinos, but free African American, most of whom escaped to New Spain to get freedom from the plantations of South Carolina. Yes, African Americans helped to save Washington's butt. I think that changes a little bit the narrative of the contribution of the African Americans into the U.S. history, and that's a fact that should be reflected in the school books. So, now that the U.S. aid to Puerto Rico, to the Reconstruction, has been questioned, guess who forked a lot of money to pay the salaries of the soldiers who fought in the final battle of Yorktown, the French and the Americans? Who paid for the salaries? 1781. Yes, Puerto Rico. The people from Puerto Rico. And yes, the people from Veracruz, Mexico. There was no war then. And the official currency was the Spanish $1,000,000, the legal currency that the Continental Congress has adopted. So my publisher in Miami said, okay, good, you can do the book. I said, yeah. And then the book that I thought it would take me for children's illustrator 1 week, maybe 2, took me a whole year. I learned quickly that when you don't have much space to say something, you better say something good. First problem, a history book is supposed to have some accuracy. So Alejandro Villena, a phenomenal illustrator, and myself had to do a lot of homework to come out with the illustrations of the book. To do the design of Gálvez, we couldn't trust an old portrait and copy it because skinny facing, photoshopping is not new. It's been done all the time through history. The Queen of England would say to the painter, will you be so kind as to make the pearls of my necklace look a little bigger? The King of France would demand that his long nose be diminished 1 inch. So we have to see a lot of versions of Bernardo de Gálvez to figure out what he looked like. Besides that, I wanted to make the book fun. Instead of history, I want to tell some other stories to the kids. Because I believe in educating with a smile. So I told them, Gálvez, the last name is Spanish. Why we know that Gálvez is Spanish? Because when last names were invented, what you did is you took the name of your father. So in English, if your father was John, your last name is Johnson, the son of John. In Spanish, we add EC to the name of our father. So Martinez, the son of Martin. Fernandez, the son of Fernando. Jimenez, the daughter of Jimeno, and so on. I tell them, too, that in the time that Washington was fighting the English, the Hispanic people who live in the 2/3 of the actual territory of the United States were building San Francisco. And they have already built the first highway of America, Camino Real, who connected San Agustin, Florida, with San Diego, California. And at that time, cowboys were called vaqueros. And Americans didn't say lasso. They said lazo. Didn't say tornado. They said tornado. They didn't say ranch. They say rancho. And the longhorn cows of Texas were called las vacas mostrencas de las guarismas del Guadalquivir. What was the problem? Vacas mostrencas was living very happy in the southern part of the Iberian Peninsula, no predator. They went to Texas, they were puma. Ah! So only the ones with the longer horns could survive. And the ones who survive with longer horns, and the bulls who survive with longer horns, they mix, and they have cows with longer horns. The ones who survive mix longer horns, and 250 years later, within natural evolution would have taken millions of years, here it is, with the help of some ranchers mixing that too. I always wonder why this hat, what is the ultimate cowboy hat, the 10-gallon hat, was called a 10-gallon hat. Who's got a 10-gallon head? So I did my research, and this is a sombrero vaquero. And the girls were telling the vaqueros, you look tan galán, so handsome. And the guy speaking English said, 10-gallon, 10-gallon, 10-gallon hat. Here we are today. So it's been 2 years since the book has been published. I've been visiting many schools in the States. Many schools use it in the Spanish version, elementary schools for reading in the Spanish class, English version, middle schools for debating in social studies. One school at a time, always with the same message, that Latinos belong to the U.S. The Latinos didn't come to the U.S. yesterday and didn't come to get anybody's job. And I have to be very grateful to Bernardo de Gálvez, because anytime I go to one of these schools, and I see just one kid, just one Latino, a girl and a boy, that after my presentation, they recover their self-esteem. When I see a non-Latino kid, a girl or a boy, that after my presentation looks with respect to their Latino peers, I feel like, there's hope. I feel like we're moving in the right track. Let me wait for this. So, because I don't have, I will need 50 more lives to go to every school, we created a website, nogalvez.com, conocegalvez.com, because I belong to the Fundación Goma Espuma, and our theme is educating with a smile. Our goal is to achieve that students, instead of having to study, they have to want to learn. And with that in mind, we created this website, free access for everybody, for teachers, for students, with the help of Fundación Consejo de España, Estados Unidos. And it's been used. It could be used. Always with the same message. learning history, having fun, but making very clear that Latinos belong to the U.S. People, I think that we have to make very clear that the Hispanics, the Latinos, belong to the American fabric. If America is a loom that brings together threads of different colors to create a textile of diversity, we Latinos, we Hispanics, the people who speak English in the United States, don't want to be considered separate, but as a part of the American cloth. That's my message. That's my mission. And if you guys think that is worth to spread, please help me out. Thank you.